I was saved as a child. My parents were Christians. We lived in a Christian home. God got to be, somebody I learned about in Sunday school and in church. But he wasn't my God until later as I grew up in my faith and as I went through some of these trials that God put before me, that I actually realized that I needed to claim him as my God and not the God of my parents and my ancestors. July of 2014, we found out that Bob had cancer. And the doctors at first said it was no big deal. They had several patients that had this cancer. He would be able to be in the hospital for 7 to 10 days and then go back to work within 6 months. But after the first surgery, the doctors came to me and said the cancer had grown 3 times more than they had thought it would, and they weren't sure that they got it all. And they did an MRI, and they found the tumor in his brain. It was really hard watching him go downhill like that. So his last night on earth, he sat in his recliner, and I pulled a rocker up next to him, and I just sat there and held his hands. I called my girls out and told them that we needed to let him know it was okay, that we would be okay. And he said, "I love you. Come with me." And I told him I wish I could. And so we talked about that and talked about how God's will would be done and that we would be okay and that he was going to enjoy his life in heaven. It's been a learning experience trying to do this on my own, and there will be times when I look up and say, "Lord, are you sure this was such a good idea?" Trying to mow the backyard, and the mower just kept stalling out on me. I'm like, well, maybe it's out of gas. Bob would know this thing, I don't. So I took it back out to the front yard and completely forgetting that I didn't latch the gate, which Bob would have remembered to do. And I let our dog outside later. Didn't think about it. I had gone on to family gathering and got home late at night and realized that the dog wasn't coming in when I called her. And I got a call about midnight that there had been a dog hit on 267 just south of where we lived. Having lost Bob, it was just, more sorrow added on top of what we were already going through. Well, the next day, my trailblazer started acting up. I, again, am not the one who takes care of that kind of stuff, so I was at a loss for what to do. So I drove my trailblazer to work that day with all the issues it had going on, and all the way home, I just cried out to him. I didn't realize at the time that God had the answer to that prayer that I was calling out, standing at my front door when I got home. I pulled up to the court where we live, and there was a couple from the church standing there talking to my daughter Kelsey. They were telling me that they had been reading my Facebook post about my week and knew that I was having a tough week, and they said that the Lord had burdened them for me, and they wanted to do something special to help me out. They handed me a car key to a very nice new car, nicer than what I would ever have had or have ever bought for myself. This is a gift to you from us. They didn't want anybody to know, but God knows, and I know. Then a couple of days later, another car shows up at the end of my driveway. And so I love to be able to share that story about how God used that couple. But then this couple also was used by God because he said that God had burdened them, and they handed me an envelope with a little something in it. And that little something was a check that covered the repairs of the trailblazer, a couple other bills that I needed paid off. And then later in the week, I got another check from a couple in the church with money to help out. And it has been this way since Bob found out he had cancer. This church has just stepped up and stepped in and provided where we needed, whether it was a friendly face, a hug, a gift card, some cash, a meal, or just come to the hospital and visit, or drive 3 hours to go to the hospital to visit. So it's friendships like that that have made this church not just our church, but our family. My name is Morrow, and I believe in Jesus because he's my provider.